The Revolution, a call for justice, equality, and prosperity. Delivered by Yusuf Blegur. The Revolution, a force capable of liberating our nation from corruption, feudalism, and dynastic politics. The Revolution, a movement to uphold the certainty and enforcement of law. The Revolution, a pursuit of justice and equality for all. The Revolution, a guarantee of the rights and obligations of every citizen. The Revolution, a path towards establishing order and collective security. The Revolution, a means to elect honest and trustworthy leaders. The Revolution, a fulfillment of the ideals of Indonesia's proclamation of independence and the aspirations of our nation's founders. The Revolution, a catalyst for building national character and morality. The Revolution, a journey towards establishing a welfare state. The Revolution, an assurance that our nation's natural resources are for the benefit of our own people, not foreign powers. The Revolution, a liberation from the shackles of debt and foreign domination. The Revolution, a promise of prosperity for all citizens, not just oligarchs or a select few. The Revolution, a transformation into a nation with political sovereignty, economic independence, and cultural identity. The Revolution, a realization of true people's sovereignty. The Revolution, a mandate to provide affordable basic necessities and freedom from burdensome taxation. The Revolution, a path to happiness through free education and healthcare. The Revolution, a liberation from corruption, feudalism, and dynastic politics. The Revolution, a protection of indigenous peoples and their ancestral lands from exploitation and displacement. The Revolution, a deterrent against arrogance and oppression by state officials. The Revolution, a bridge to narrowing the gap between the rich and the poor. The Revolution, a call for unity in righteousness and goodness, not in evil and transgression. The Revolution, a reformation and amendment of a manipulated constitution. The Revolution, a preservation of democracy rooted in Pancasila values. The Revolution, a demand for courage in replacing a tyrannical and authoritarian regime. The Revolution, a justification for establishing a people's court to bring justice to oppressive rulers. Our nation exists to serve the well-being of its people, not to pander to corrupt leaders.